Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get started on this webinar about how to use a Microsoft Surface. The slides that we are presenting today you can find at tiny.cc/AIA-Surface. We will also be posting the recording and the slides on our website, and we'll tell you more about that at the end. So the three of us that do this website and are doing these webinars are on the next slide. I'm Sell-Tietz from Kent State University. Jennifer Canis is also with us, University of South Florida. And Tracy Miller-Nobles from Austin Community College is with us. Please use the Q&A box for questions. We will be answering questions at the end. And with no further ado, Tracy is going to get us started.
Great, thank you, Wendy. Thanks so much for joining us today. So our presentation today is going to talk about how to use a Microsoft Surface computer in your online courses, and specifically how I use my Microsoft Surface computer to write on my screen as I'm doing my online courses and also in recording videos. So the first is, some of you may be thinking about maybe wanting to purchase a Microsoft Surface computer. And the first thing to know is that there are many different types of Surface computers. And the Surface computer that you have or maybe are thinking about purchasing is dependent upon a lot of different factors that you are looking for. So these are all the different types of Surface computers that are available for you on the Microsoft website. And let's just go over a couple of the key features. So a couple of things first is to think about screen size. So if you're looking for something that has the biggest screen size, you're going to want to go with either a Surface Book or a Surface Pro X. That's going to get you the biggest screen size. If you want something that's smaller though, then you're going to be more looking at the Surface Laptop or the Surface Go. And that also follows up with the weight of the Surface computer. So our heaviest option is the Surface Book. That's the one that I have. Our lightest option is going to be the Surface Go, and that's going to provide you with and the Surface Pro, that's going to provide you with a lighter laptop option. One of the main reasons why I purchased the Surface Book was because of the battery life. The Surface Book actually includes 2 batteries, and those 2 batteries are built into the computer, and that allows you to have a battery life of up to around 17 hours. As you can see, as we go down kind of the line, the battery life gets smaller and smaller, so that our Surface Go, which is kind of our smallest Surface option, provides you only with up to 9 hours. The other thing that I want to point out that I think is really important is the number of USB connections. Oftentimes in these more tablet-like computers, we see less USB connections available for the computer. And so another reason why I purchased a Surface Book was because of the number of USB connections that are available. We get 3 with the Surface Book, whereas you can see that smallest version, the Surface Go, only has 1 USB connection. But the great news about all of the Surface products is that all of them are pen capable. So they all allow you to write on your screen with some type of stylus. So let's go into more detail about the different types of Surfaces. We're going to start with the Surface Laptop 3. I call this a traditional laptop, and the reason why I call it a traditional laptop is because the screen doesn't come apart from the keyboard. So there's no tablet-like experience in the sense that the keyboard and the screen come apart. But it's very different than a traditional laptop in that you do have the ability to write on the screen, just as it is attached, just like this. It's very lightweight, it's very portable, and it does have that really nice larger screen. So this is a good option. I know Wendy shared that this is the laptop that her school are providing to their faculty. And it does provide you the ability to write on the screen, and also gives you a really nice, sturdy laptop to work with. Now, the other two versions of the Surface are the Surface Book. That's the one I have, and Wendy has that one also. And then before I got the Surface Book, I had the Surface Pro. And the Surface Go, Pro 7, and Pro X are basically all the same, just with different amounts of memory, speed, etc. So let's start by talking about the one on the left-hand side of your screen, which is the Surface Book 2. So the thing I love about the Surface Book is that the screen comes off of the tablet. And actually, you can use it without a keyboard being attached to it. You can turn it around and lay the tablet portion on top of the keyboard. And it's just a really nice functional tool. And this is what I do. So I actually take the tablet part off, I turn it around, and then I lay it back down, and then I can write on my Surface just as if I was writing on a piece of paper. I'll just lay it right down on my desk and I just start writing. What I'd like, and the reason why I upgraded from the Pro to the Surface, is because this really is a full laptop. So it's got several USB connections. You've got a really nice, stable keyboard. One of the things that I disliked about my Pro was that keyboard, so you can kind of see it on the screen here, this keyboard can be, in my opinion, was hard to sit on my lap and type with. So I like to kind of sit in front of the TV and type on my computer. And this is a little challenging to do that, whereas the Surface Book really allowed me to be able to have a stable keyboard surface. Now, the biggest disadvantage about the Surface Book is that it's one of the most expensive options, and that's that it starts at $1,000. And when you think about adding all the additional memory and speed processing and getting the bigger version of it, that price can definitely go up. I do know that Microsoft does have some great educator discounts. So if you're thinking about purchasing it, make sure to ask for the educator discount. I always ask for that, and I always get that discount, which is a nice little perk if you're thinking about purchasing. Now let's look at the computer on the right-hand side of the screen. The computer on the right-hand side of the screen is either the Surface Go, Pro 7, or Pro X. Remember, the difference between those is they're basically not configured the same, but they basically work the same in that the keyboard does come off of the tablet, and you could use just the tablet without the keyboard. Now, the cheapest version of that is the Surface Go. That starts at $400, and then they get a little more expensive as you get into more memory and processing speed. The nice thing about this is it does allow you to detach the keyboard from the tablet, so you can lay the tablet down and write on it on your desk very nicely. But my biggest disadvantage, and I had this computer for several years and loved it, was just that it didn't provide me that stable keyboard experience that I wanted to set the laptop on my lap and be able to feel like it was a sturdy keyboard. So again, you can't go wrong with any of the options that we have here for you. All of the Surfaces that we're presenting here, the Surface Laptop, the Surface Book, and also the different versions of Surface Go and Pro will provide you the ability to write on your screen. So now, after you have the computer, one of the things that you're going to need to think about is accessories. And the first accessory that you need to buy is you need to buy a Surface Pen. This accessory costs around $100, and I really recommend that you buy the Surface Pen that comes from Microsoft. There are some generic versions that you can get available out on the internet, and I have had to use some of those in certain cases, but it does not work as well as the Surface Pen. The first thing is the Surface Pen just pairs so nicely to your computer. You don't have any issue that I've ever experienced in pairing ability. It stays paired to your computer. You don't have to worry about turning it on or turning it off. It just stays attached to your computer. My Surface Pen also magnetically attaches to my Surface Book. I really like that. The generic versions of the stylus that I purchased don't have that capability. The other really cool thing about the Surface Pen, if you buy the Microsoft version, is that if you press harder, your lines get thicker. If you press lighter, your lines get smaller. So it has a real nice, authentic writing feel to it. And also, if you configure it correctly, if you turn your pen around and use what would be the eraser, it will automatically erase the writing that you've done. The other thing that I'd like to point out with the Surface Pen is that there's also capabilities for buttons, and you can use the buttons on the pen to move slides forward, and that's also a really, really nice feature. I also really recommend the Surface Arc mouse, and I purchased this mouse along with the Surface Book that I purchased. The mouse cost around $80, and what I love about the mouse is that the mouse can lay flat. So you can just push it down and then it just lays flat, so it doesn't create a lot of space in your work bag. And again, it also just does a nice pairing connection to the Surface product, so that you don't have to worry about whether it pairs up really nicely with your computer. Now, the other thing you need to know as far as accessories go is that you do need to purchase some type of an adapter based upon what projector you will be using. So you could need a USB-C. Some of these computers have a smaller USB, we call it a USB-C. You may need a USB-C to an HDMI adapter. That would allow you to project to an HDMI projector, or if your projector is a VGA adapter, a VGA cable, you could need a USB-C to a VGA adapter. Or I love the one that I bought. The one that I bought is a combination of those. So it has a USB-C, and then you can plug in an HDMI, you can plug in a VGA, you can also plug in another USB. There's just a lot of different varieties that you can use. So you'll definitely need some kind of an adapter, because the Surface Book and the Surface Pros don't come with an HDMI or a VGA plug on them. So you'll definitely need some type of an adapter in order to project to a computer screen. Now let's talk about how we go about using the Surface to write on our computer. And so you must have the Surface, of course. You have to have a stylus, and then you have to have some type of software that will allow you to write on your screen. So the software that I most typically use is I use OneNote, that's a Microsoft software. I use Word, and I also use PowerPoint. And I'm going to show you examples of all of these different softwares and what the writing looks like. In addition, if you are, for example, doing a presentation and you're using Zoom or WebEx or GoToMeeting, you can open up their whiteboard and you can write using your Microsoft Surface Pen and your Surface during the conference. Also Adobe, you can write on Adobe. So if you had a PDF, you could open the PDF and then you could write using your stylus and your Surface, write on your Adobe. So there's a lot of expanded options for how you can write on your screen. But once we get ready to write, after we've got our pen paired to our computer, then the next thing we need to do is we have to set up our pen. And so this is where you're going to say all of those things like, am I right-handed or am I left-handed? Do I want to use the buttons to do this or that? Do I want to have a medium writing capability or not? And so that's all available for you in the settings area of the Microsoft computer. And typically what I do is I just open up settings and I just search set up pen, and then this area comes up. This is also where you designate what your pen shortcuts are. So for instance, you can have it do certain things based upon how your pen is set up. So I like to have my erase button be my eraser, and then I like to use my clicks for different things. And so you can set all of that up in this pen and Windows Ink area. So the software that I use most when I'm using my Surface Book is I use OneNote. And so this is an example of a class that I actually held on Monday night. This is a tax class. And we were working through problems on the text in the textbook, and I was writing on my screen. And so this is OneNote right here. And basically all you're going to do is I created this document in Word, and then I printed the document to OneNote. So you know how when you go into Word and you say to print, and then there's different options of where you want to print. You can print to an actual printer, you can print to a PDF, and you can also print to OneNote. And so I just printed the Word document into OneNote, and then I opened up OneNote and I started writing on it. And so with OneNote, you can basically write on anything that you can print. So if you have a website and you wanted to write on a website, you could print the website to OneNote, just print it and create a copy of the website. It'll import into OneNote, and then you can start writing on it. I use this when I do our tax returns in my tax class. So I go to the IRS website, I have a copy, I find a copy of the 1040, I print the 1040 to OneNote, and then it shows up in OneNote, and then I can make annotations on the 1040 right there so that my students can see it. What I love about using OneNote for, and the reason why I like to use it, is because it allows me to write on anything that I want to. And it stores all of that in one place. So I can create folders for Accounting 1331, and all of my annotations are all stored in that one place, so that when I'm in class, I can easily go back and forth between yesterday's, the week before lecture and today's lecture, and the tax return we looked at a month ago and the one we're looking at today. And it's all just laid out there for me in one place. I also like that I think OneNote provides you with the most robust types of pens and colors and callouts. So if you want to use red and blue and green and purple, you've got all those different options as far as the pen options in OneNote. So OneNote is included with your Microsoft Office 365 package. Sometimes it's not automatically downloaded on your computer, so you may have to actually get it downloaded onto your computer to utilize it, but it is included in the full suite of Office 365. So another way that I utilize my Surface and to write on is I utilize Word. I mostly utilize Word when I am grading students' papers. So here's an example of a paper that a student submitted. This is for a tax research class, and you can see that what I did was I downloaded the paper from the learning management system. I opened it up in my Word document, and then I went to the Draw tab of Word, And there's all of my inking options. So I've got different pens that are available. And then basically I just select the pen that I want to use, and then I just start writing. And the nice thing about Word is that after you get done, you'll simply save the file, and then all of your annotations, all of your inking will be available for you to then submit back to the student, for example. So Word is a great way to use as an option for writing on your screen with the Surface computer. So you always use the Draw tab. That's how you get into the inking pens. And I like to grade papers with this. I also like to make annotations on things that people have provided me in Word documents. And then when you get done with it, you have to save it as a new file, and then that allows you to send it to the person that you want the annotation to go to. So they would open up that Word document, they would see their Word document or whatever was created, and then your annotations over the top of it. Now, the third tool that I use the most when it comes to annotating on my Surface Book is PowerPoint. And so here's a great example. I just had a PowerPoint opened up. This is a PowerPoint that we use to talk about importing Excel into Power BI. And I am in the presentation mode of PowerPoint. So I've already created the PowerPoint, and now I'm showing the PowerPoint to my students. And I can write anything I want to on the screen, on the slide, while I am presenting in PowerPoint. And to do that, you'll navigate your pen, your stylus, over to the lower left-hand part of the corner of the slides, and you'll see an area where it looks like a little hand with a pencil. And you're gonna click on that, and that's gonna allow you to decide what do you want. You could have a pen, you can also have a laser pointer, you could do highlight, and you can also change the different colors of options that you want to use to write on your screen. So PowerPoint is an excellent tool that allows you to make notations while you're presenting the PowerPoint slideshow. So if you're thinking about your online videos that you're creating or your online classroom, you may have already created some PowerPoints, and now you want to be able to work problems on those PowerPoints or make some annotations on those PowerPoints, and you can just pull the PowerPoint up and then just start writing. Now, one of the things that I like about PowerPoint and using my Surface Pen for is that at the end of the presentation, I can decide whether I want to keep or discard the inking. So if this is a PowerPoint that I'm going to use from semester to semester to semester, I most likely am going to decide to discard my inking. But sometimes if this is a PowerPoint that I want to provide a copy of to my students, and I want all of my notations to be kept on there, then I'm going to keep the inking. And so you have the option of being able to do that. You can either keep or discard your inking. And again, as you guys saw, there's several different colors and a lot of different pen types that are available. So I think that the Surface Book and the Surface Laptop and the Surface Go or Pro are just awesome technology. I absolutely loved my Surface Pro when I had it, and I really love my Surface Book. It is the only laptop that I have. I do have a desktop computer that I use in my home office, but when I travel, when I go to my classes, when I do all of my online video lectures and recordings, I exclusively use my Surface Book. It's just been a great piece of technology for me to utilize in the online teaching environment, and also has enough robustness in it that I can fully run Excel and Power BI and Tableau and do everything that I need to be able to do. So I'm going to pass it over to Jennifer. She's going to see if we have any questions, also talk about some of our upcoming webinars.
Thanks very much, Tracy. So great. So just to remind you, if you would like to know about our upcoming webinars, then we invite you to follow our blog at accountingisanalytics.com. Of course, we have a lot of data analytics materials out there, but in our rapidly changing environment, we also have updated some of our webinars to include things like this that Tracy gave us today to help people with the transition to virtual classes. So please follow our blog and sign up with your email there. We have a couple of upcoming teaching webinars this week. Tomorrow, we will be talking about how to use Zoom for your office hours or class, and that's tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern Time, 3 to 3:30. And on Thursday, we're talking about how to use Kahoot in your online class, and that'll be on Thursday from 2 to 2:30 Eastern Standard Time as well. And again, you can sign up for those at accountingisanalytics.com. We like to end our webinars with something funny to hopefully make you smile. So this is our cartoon for the day. Luckily, none of us are teaching Kung Fu. And finally, I'm now going to open it up for questions. If anyone has any questions, I don't see anything in the open chat, but if anybody has any questions, feel free to type it in the Q&A. We're happy to answer any questions that you have about the Microsoft Surface or how you could use it to write on for some of the things you're trying to accomplish now.
So I see that Shale has raised his hand, raised his or her hand. Shale, if you want to type your question in the Q&A box, you'll find that down in the same section where you see mute and where the participants are, you'll see that down a Q&A box that you can type your question into. Oh, great, Jennifer. I think we got that question through the chat box.
Yep, exactly. So it says, can you comment on the suitability of iPads as compared with Surface devices? That's a great question.
Oh, that's a great question. Great. So I'll answer it first, and then Wendy, I would also love for you to jump in on this because you're kind of more of a Mac person than I am. So one of the things that I believe is the most distinct difference between an iPad and a Surface device is that when we're talking about general iPads, like the iPad mini and just the iPad, is that they don't allow you to have all the full versions of the software. So it's not, I can't run Word on it or PowerPoint or Excel very easily off of my iPad. In addition, the iPads, although you can find some Bluetooth keyboards, those keyboards are not really considered to be part of the tablet, and so you sometimes have issues with getting those keyboards to sync up to your tablet, and the interface is just not as great as you get with an iPad.
Okay, and can I jump in here, Tracy?
Yes, please do.
Okay. So I have the Surface. I have the Surface Book. I've had a Surface Pro. I also have regular iPad, and I have an iPad Pro. The iPad Pro is the top of the line for Apple, and it has the Apple keyboard that comes with it, so it doesn't have any pairing issues. If you get the Apple keyboards that are like part of the case for Apple, that takes away that issue. I also have the Apple Pencil. I have the second generation, which goes with the latest Apple Pro or iPad Pro. And then I've also used the regular Apple Pencil with the regular iPads. In terms of writing on the screen, the latest version of the iPad Pro, really does a nice job. It has the protection where you can write on it, and the heel of your hand can be on the screen and not disrupt your writing. The same thing goes with the Surface Pro. Of the two, the Surface Pro, the Microsoft Surface versus iPad Pro, because those are comparing apples to apples kind of here. They both write really well. I would say of my choice, if I were only going to get one, I would get the Surface because it is a full laptop. But that said, if you use the iPad, you can do pretty cool things using software like Screencast-O-Matic or using Explain Everything. You can use Screencast-O-Matic with some of the Office 365 apps on the iPad and actually accomplish many of the same things, but you're still going to be limited somewhat because some of those aren't, just as Tracy said, the Office 365 app on the iPad is not as full-featured as the Surface one. But an iPad is an excellent choice if that's what you have.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you can do great things with an iPad. So that's my answer.
Yeah, great. I agree. Absolutely, Wendy. And you know, I have an iPad mini, like one of those little bitty iPads. And I definitely think my Surface Book is way better than that. But yeah, if you already have an iPad, I see your comment, Shale. If you already have an iPad, I would suggest you watch one of our recordings on our website. Talks about how to record videos, and another one also how to write on your screen. We talk about some features in there that Wendy mentioned, like Screencast-O-Matic, that you could definitely use on your iPad to do recording of videos while you're writing. So I see.
Oh, we have another question. Can
Great.
I pair my Bluetooth headset with Surface Book?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep. I have I actually pair my Apple earbuds to my Surface Book. So yeah, I actually don't have any problem with that.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, if there's no other questions, I think
it looks like we've got one more, Jennifer.
Oh, one's coming in.
That Scott has asked if Wendy could repeat the names of the apps that can be used on the iPad to do some of the recording of screen capture.
Okay, sure. So Screencast-O-Matic is an app that will allow you to record anything going on your screen. If you're going to do that, you probably need the desktop version because you can sync it to your desktop and then you can do a little bit of editing because it will record everything on your screen. So if you're looking to do a lot of different things on your iPad, Screencast-O-Matic is app generic. It'll record everything. So that is one app, but they have a desktop app. It doesn't matter if you have Mac or Windows, the desktop app works on your desktop, and then you have this screen recording on your iPad. So the other two things, the other things that jump to mind are Explain Everything. That is an app for the iPad, a really good app for the iPad where you can just write on things. And that's so cool that you can upload PDFs to it, you can upload PowerPoints to it, you can upload Word documents, and then you can write all over those and record it. So I guess that would be my go-to app in terms of if I just wanted to write on things and create videos with my iPad, I would have to say Explain Everything. Explain Everything is going to cost, I think, under $50 a year. So it is a paid app, but I think it's well worth it. There's also, but I think Explain Everything might have a free promotion right now just to get us through the school year. And then the other thing that kind of leaps to mind is Edu Creations. EDU Creations, that's another app on the iPad, and they do have a free promotion going on now, and that does similar to what Explain Everything does. But Explain Everything is really the gold standard, or if you use something like Screencast-O-Matic.
So Explain Everything, there's a question in here, Wendy, about Explain Everything. And the question is it like Microsoft OneNote? And it's really not. Explain Everything is the recording, provides the recording system and also the whiteboard to write on. Whereas OneNote just provides the ability to write. Is that correct, Wendy?
Yes, you could use the OneNote app on your iPad or on your computer and then use Screencast-O-Matic to record writing on OneNote. OneNote doesn't specifically record except if you're using Teams, there might be a way to record in
Yeah.
OneNote to stream, but we're not going there. But just explain everything as a standalone recording option that you can import documents into to write on and record as you're recording.
Yeah, some of you may be familiar with like Camtasia or some of the other recording softwares. Explain Everything is somewhat familiar, somewhat like Camtasia, although Camtasia is really a more full-blown version of Explain Everything. So I also see a question in here, so see this in the chat area, Jennifer, and it has talking about pairing. Do I need to pair my Surface Pen with my Surface with Bluetooth first? And yeah, I did. I had to, when I opened my computer up and got it all set up, then I had to go through a pairing process. Wendy, you did too also.
You have to pair it, yes. When you open up the box that the Surface Pen comes in, it gives you instructions on how to pair it. And it's very easy. You do it one time and then it's good to go. It's not quite as easy as the second generation iPad Pencil, because that one you just take out of the box and kind of put it on the screen magnetically, and then you can click OK. But the Surface Pen is not bad to pair, but it does have to be paired.
Yeah, and likewise, if you end up buying one of those other options, the generic versions of the options, it'll be the same. So you'll have to go through the pairing process. Also have to do that for, I was mentioning, I really like the Surface Arc mouse. You also have to pair the mouse in order to use the mouse also. So I do see one more question in the question and answer area. The question was asking about some of the other videos that we've done. So if you have a faculty member that would like to learn a little bit more about some recording options for the iPad, Jennifer and Wendy, can you think about any of the previous videos we've done that you would maybe recommend for them?
That would be the video we did on how to write on your screen, because we went through Explain Everything and Educreation. So there were some options, and Screencast-O-Matic. So there were some options there. So the one that's how to write on your screen.
Great. Okay, well, I think that's everything. Unless Jennifer, you see anything else, I think
No.
we're all set.
Great.
Okay. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.